Welcome back to the channel, guys, and tonight I'm going to spend a little more time talking about something you're probably tired of hearing me yammer about. And what's that? Tachometers. That's right. Going to talk about tachometers in my Tri-5 Chevy wagon again. That's coming up next here in the Shade Tree Garage. All right, guys, tachometers. We love them, we hate them. I don't know if we hate them or not, but I love them. Got to have a tach, especially if your speedometer doesn't work. You know, you can pretty well, once you get used to your tach, and there's actually apps you can use on your phone to tell you how fast you're going within a mile or two. And so I can tell you that in fifth gear, 2,000 RPM is around 55 miles an hour in my Chevy. And that's really all I need to know. I know that below that, I know that 2,000 RPM is not 90 miles an hour or 80 or 70 or even 60. Anyway, that's really all I need to know now, but you have to have a tach to find that out. Now, the car came with a non-functional sun tach, and I mourn the fact that it didn't work because I'd love to have had the true old school tachometer, but wasn't meant to be. So I bought one of the cheap tachometers, and you see them everywhere on eBay and even Amazon. And they all have the same case and the same goofy, useless mount that attaches to the bottom. And they all have like 7 different backlight colors. They all have a shift indicator that's adjustable from 2 to 8,000 RPM. And they all have a red light on the front that will light up when it reaches that shift indicator setting. And all of them have a very tiny, small black push button on the front of the lower part of the tach, and that's to change the color setting, the backlight. If you want it white, blue, green, red, orange, yellow, etc. Now, I just like plain old white. I don't want it blue. I don't want it green. I don't want any of these other goofy colors. All right, now as you've seen on my case on my cheap Chinese tachometers, chrome with a black face, and I like it. It works well, and it's just a nice looking tach, believe it or not, for the money. Now, I didn't want a black tach with a black case or black bezel. I wanted chrome, and that's what I had. Now you can get it chrome with a white face and black letters, I assume. But that's not what I want. I'm very traditional in my tachometer views. I just want a chrome tach, black face, white letters, and a needle that reads appropriately. I don't really need a shift light, and I'm not about to put a tachometer on it with this big ass round lit LED tube that's tacked onto the side of the tachometer that's going to say flash, change, shift. I don't need that. I'm not a racer. All right, now this is the tach I have, and it looks pretty damn good. I'm pretty happy with it. But let me show you. Let me hit the key, and we'll show you what it does when you hit power to it. Ready? All right, let me take it out of gear now. Now see, I didn't let it do its full boot up routine, and you can see that the tach is skizzing out a little bit. Now let me start it up again. There we go. So after it does its little dipsy doodle routine, it does fine. Now, the backlight doesn't flicker except on the phone, and it looks pretty damn good. So I don't know. Let me shut this off. Now let me mount this back where it was. Well, I've had this tack in place for a few weeks now, and that little startup routine's getting old. It's not a real problem, okay? But I just don't like it. It's like every time I go to start the Chevy, it's like the tack is saying, cheap ass tachometer. It may not work this time. And I don't need that. I want the old Sun Pro or the Sun Pro 2 or a Sun clone tachometer that the needle just sits there when you hit the key and start it up. Whoop, it pops up to 900 RPM or whatever your idle speed is. I don't want it to do any machinations. I don't want to watch the needle dance around. I don't want any shift lights blinking on and off. I just want the damn tack to come up and indicate idle speed once the car is started. That's all it has to do. So anyway, I am thinking of ditching this tachometer. And let me show you what I've got. Now, I mentioned to you guys that sometime back I bought an Equus, I guess it's Equus tachometer. This has the black face, the black bezel. Looks just like the old Sun. It's the clone of it. Not quite as heavy because the case is all plastic. Has the same sort of mounting hardware. I mean, it is the closest thing you're going to find to a brand new Sun tack for your Tri-Fi. Same size, same mount, everything. And even the same, well, let me get it up here. This little knurled hollow knob that attaches the mount to the back of the tachometer. It's like 40 years ago, all new again. Well, uh, my tack that I want. Now, my original tack 40 years ago had a chrome bezel and a chrome body, and it was metal. Uh, Not so much with this one. Now, I bought this. I got a good price on this on eBay, but it was in its package, and because of the glare of the flash on the plastic, this bezel looked chrome. The write-up didn't say if it was chrome, but it didn't say it was black either. So I saw it and I said, well, it's got to be chrome. I'm snagging that one. And so I sent I had a make offer, and I sent a low ball offer and got it. Brand new in the package. Couldn't be happier. And then it shows up with a black bezel. Not what I want. All right. Now, because now I don't know that I'm assuming this tachometer does not have to go through this little startup tack dance that the other one does. And I really don't mind that the case is black. I want the bezel to be chrome. So what I've done, I did a little research on chrome paint, and their manufacturers have made leaps and bounds in the ability to buy paint that will closely simulate chrome, especially on plastic. Model makers use this stuff all the time. So my plan is, and I've ordered a small bottle of chrome paint. The stuff's expensive, and the base coat, which is black. And I'm going to paint the bezel chrome, at least some formulation of it. Now the chrome on the originals looked okay. I mean, it's chrome plated plastic, so my paint is going to look, it'll be silvery with some reflection. It's not going to be chrome, but it'll be close enough. And then I'm going to fabricate a new mount similar to the one I'm using, and mount this tack from the rear the same way I did with the other unit, except I will use the original hollow uh, attachment nut, if you will, the threaded insert that will hold this tack to the mount. All right, and I think that's going to work just fine. So anyway, I ordered the base coat and the chrome paint, and it won't be here for another week or 10 days, and that's fine. That's fine. But I've got my plan. I've got the plan established, and so all I have to do now is go back to get some sheet metal and my metal shears on the bench back in the back, and cut out another mount, and I'll be ready. Now, of course, I'll use like I said, I'm going to use the same attachment method that they use on the column mount, except my column mount will be a little different, but it'll work. It'll be just as good as the one on the car now. So I think I'm going to try that, and then see how well I like it. I will tell you, I've been really struggling with this tack issue. Uh, the one that's on there is fine, but I don't know. It keeps eating at me. This is not doesn't have the look of the old school Sun tack. It's a cheap Chinese copy, and the little needle dance it does at the beginning every time you apply power just reminds me that it's a chicken shit Chinese tachometer. So anyway, I'm still once I get all that, once I get the paint in, and I'll start on it, and we'll see where things go from there. Tonight I was in meeting the other car guys in the club at Burger King, and as I got ready to leave, sure enough, I got in it, hit the key without letting the tachometer do its little startup dance, and looked down, and the tachometer's way all the way around to about 10 grand, just sitting there quivering. And so I goosed the throttle a little bit, and the RPM increased a little bit. So I shut it off and hit the key, let it do its little dance, and then started it, and it was fine. No problem. It's just that little annoyance, and it's bugging me, man. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. I'm spending way too much time screwing around with this tachometer. I should be happy with what it is and let it alone, but I want the old school experience, and I don't want this Chinese crap, this reboot process. All right, well, that's it for this edition of Shade Tree Garage. I'll be back with more, and as you can see behind me, you should be able to see behind me, the Plymouth. The hood is up on the Plymouth. Um, my son and I had to do a little work on it while I was in the process of trying to get the engine started. I was operating the throttle manually under the hood and overextended the linkage, and the linkage popped loose. And there's nowhere on the internet shows how that linkage goes together. And it's kind of a convoluted linkage. Goes from the carburetor and then down. It's almost Rube Goldberg like. Okay, um, the linkage on my '55 Chevy is so much simpler. In fact, the first linkage on my first '55 Chevy I bought in '79 was aluminum wire. Of course, I had the pedal and the mechanism from the pedal that went into the firewall, and then the connection from there to the carburetor was a piece of aluminum clothes wire. Worked fine. It was adjustable. You could. Anyway, enough of that. I'll have an update. Oh, and the linkage came apart on the '56 Plymouth, and there are no resources that show you how that goes back together. And in fact, I couldn't even find an intact picture of what that linkage is supposed to look like, so I'd know how to repair it. All right, well, thanks for watching, and hopefully the next day or so, we've got rain predicted this week, I'll get the Plymouth moved from that spot over to my right, and then the 55 wagon will be back here in the middle of the garage where the Plymouth is. I've got door panels to work on and some other things inside, carpet, and what have you to work on. All right, thanks for watching. We'll be back again soon with another Shade Tree Garage. Take care.